You only need the tiniest little bit here in the inner corner where I have a lot of darkness and sort of that trough. And oh! If you're looking for a makeup routine that is low energy but still makes you feel put together, then this Get Ready With Me video is for you. I'm not a makeup expert, but I am an expert in living a low energy life. And I'm going to share some tips that I wish I'd known when I first got into makeup that might have saved me some energy. Things like picking a focal point for my look, knowing what products are worth my spoons, and what 3 makeup steps that I'm going to skip on a low energy day. The best piece of advice that I've learned is to pick a focal point for your look. I learned this from watching Miss Megan Robinson. She's a makeup artist and a beauty content creator on YouTube, and she has such great educational content. Her thought is that if you have a focal point for your look, then your makeup is going to look more intentional and cohesive. So you're not going to have an eye look that's competing with your lip look. And it's simple, but honestly, it's a real decision fatigue saver as well. On good energy days, I might pick an eye look where I'm using a ton of products, but on a low energy day, picking a focal point just helps me choose where I'm going to focus my energy on my look and then just keep the rest of the makeup very simple. So today my focus is going to be on a soft and fresh complexion look, and I've got a few options here to go through that I want to show you today. But just know that if you're more into eyes or lip combo, then just flip the idea. Just put your spoons where they matter most for you. So the second tip is knowing your non-negotiables. What can't your look do without? So for some people that's brows. Some people wouldn't leave the house without wearing mascara. For me, I don't know what my non-negotiable is just yet, but I am learning that on a low energy day, I'm always reaching for a lip gloss every time. Knowing your non-negotiables helps you plan the rest of your look and tells you where you're going to spend your spoons. Okay, so now that we've planned our approach, let's put on some makeup. Let's get started putting on some products. The first thing I'm going to forego is a primer. If any of the things I'm going to say to skip are your non-negotiables, just don't pay me any attention. I am going to use a MAC Fix Plus Magic Radiance. It's been a while since I've done my skincare now, so I do want to add a little more, just a little bit of hydration and doing this back into my skin. So I'm going to use that to start. I'm going to let that sink in. And in the meantime, I'm going to put my glasses back on. I do have some Complexion products. So what I recommend for complexion for a low energy day is just to pick something that's more of a skin tint or just something that's going to even out your complexion. So I have a tinted moisturizer, which can save you some steps because it's just going to be, instead of your moisturizer, you're going to use this, and that'll give you a bit of coverage. Or something that's kind of water-based, I think, and they just even out your complexion. So I've got a Chanel one and then the MAC Studio Radiance, which is my absolute favorite. Today, I'm going to use the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Skin Tint. And this one is a new one in my collection and I'm really loving it. It's just as nice as any high-end foundation I've got. It comes with a dropper, which is very messy. And so on Amazon, I bought these pumps. It came in a pack of 2. So I'm just going to shake that up, and that's much easier to deal with. Not as messy, which can make me kind of angry on a low energy day. You don't need much, like 1 pump maybe. So it's really lightweight. And what I'm going to do is use a sponge. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this and work it into the base of the sponge. And then I'm just going to start applying. And I like to go from the center of my face because that's where I need like the most coverage. I have a lot of redness. And then I work my way out from the center. So another one of my tips is choosing the right tool for the job. And for me, a sponge is a go-to tool on a low energy day. It's not that I don't use brushes. I love brushes. They give a higher coverage and you get more precision out of it. But for me, they take a little bit more effort, which I don't have on a low energy day. So a sponge is my go-to. It just gives a little light tint to my skin, and it just helps even out my complexion a little bit. And the sponge helps me not over apply. It picks up some of the product if I've used too much, which is often something I do when I'm tired. The next product I'm going to use is a concealer. This one is the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Awakening Concealer. I've got the shade 180, and this is considered a self-setting concealer. You skip a step where you don't necessarily have to powder underneath. Usually I do powder even with a self-setting concealer because I definitely like to set under my eyes so things don't move around there, but it's not necessary. Generally what I do with a concealer, lots of times I'll just put it on the back of my hand to apply. I'll show you what that looks like on the next eye, but I'll put it with the wand. You only need the tiniest little bit. I'll put it right here where I have a lot of darkness. I'll put it here in the inner corner where I have a lot of darkness and sort of that trough. And oh no! Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh my Donna. Anyway, let's get back to the concealer. So I was saying that I'll put a little bit in the inner corner here where I have a lot of darkness, more here sort of in the trough, and a lot of darkness down here. And then I have a black vein on each eye under there that I try to camouflage. So I'm going to put a tiny little bit there. And then I'm going to blend out with my sponge. Keep in mind, you only want to put the concealer where you have the darkness so that things don't get cakey. I don't care what any claims are on a concealer, they all crease. We have natural wrinkles, lines under our eyes. It's completely normal, and things are going to gather in there and crease. It's okay. We can generally, if you use a self-setting concealer like this one and no powder, you can just generally tap it out with your finger. I like to think makeup is not a mask. It's a living organism, and it should move with your face. So I'm going to take the sponge and I'm just going to gently tap where I've placed the concealer, move it out a little bit, and then I'm going to come down here. See, I got lots of wrinkles and it's sort of gathering there a bit, but we'll fix that. And then I'm going to bring it down. Here I didn't place any concealer because I have a lot of creases here, and I'm not going to bring the concealer right up under the lash line because that's going to also do more creasing. And then that vein, and then I'm just going to kind of go up here to give a little bit of a lift. There, so that's all I'm going to do there. I am going to tap out with my finger where it's kind of gathered in my crepiness there. And then I will set it with a powder, but I'll do that after, sorry. So I'm going to put some on the back of my hand. And then this eye I'm going to apply with just the, not with the wand, but I'm going to put it on the sponge. I'm going to just pick up a little bit and work it into the sponge. Remember, a little goes a long way. We don't want to use a lot of product. I know when we're tired, we don't always think that way, or I don't. And then again, I'm going to place it as best I can in the same areas. And then sometimes I'll bring it down a little lower on my cheek. I've got some redness. And around my nose. I don't have the technique to use a brush. I try a brush with this, but I really like a sponge because I apply too much lots of times, and this really helps pick up a lot of product. So how are we looking so far? Not too bad. I will show what this looks like in natural light too. I've got a big light here, but we'll look at it in natural light and we'll critique it and see, okay, what would I do different next time? That kind of thing. The next thing we're going to talk about is powder. Powders aren't the enemy of mature skin. Lots of powder formulas today have blurring properties and give you a very soft, focused look. They're infused with some skincare ingredients, so they also can give a bit of hydration. So look for those kind of properties in whatever powder products you might be purchasing, whether that's bronzer, blush, or a setting powder. On a low energy day, I prefer a pressed powder versus a loose. Loose is just a little messier. I tend to like to use a powder puff with a loose powder. Sometimes I don't have the energy or the patience for that, and I just find a pressed powder is very low energy friendly. This is the Kosas Cloud Set Powder in Breezy. This powder I really like because it controls some of the oil but doesn't take away the natural glow. So whatever glow that skin tint might have given us, it's not going to take that away, but it'll control the oil. And I'm going to just tap it because I want to set my makeup. I don't want to swipe it with a heavy hand and move any of that base around. We're going to use a slightly smaller brush for under the eyes. even though this is a self-setting, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do one eye powdered and one eye not. So I'm gonna take this little brush, I'm gonna tap it with a little bit of powder, swirl it in my hand so that it's evenly distributed and maybe gets rid of a little bit of excess powder. Set that to the side. Next thing we want to do is we want to get rid of any creasing and gathering of concealer that's already happened. When we move, which is totally natural, things are going to crease. So you can take the tip of the sponge that maybe doesn't have any product, and we're going to take out any excess product. And then same on this eye where I have a lot of creping right there. And then I'm not going to look down, and I'm going to powder that lightly before any other movement really happens. I was going to do one eye with and one eye without. See, that's how the brain fog works. So I'm happy with that. So that's where we sit so far. That's the powder. Hi guys, Future Donna here. Just wanted to let you know that I absolutely overdid it while filming this look. Low energy days can be so unpredictable, and sometimes even the simplest task can drain our energy faster than we expect. I want to let you know, please do not feel like you have to use all of these steps or use all of these products. Base your routine off of the energy level you have. If you've ever spent too many spoons on a look that you thought would be simple, you're in the right place. Let me know in the comments below what makeup step drains your energy the fastest. Next, we're going to use a different MAC Fix Plus. I can hardly say that. I like to use this during the different layers, so it just helps everything melt in together. So my next step is bronzer. For me, I like to add a little bit of dimension and a little bit of warmth into my face. But a second product I'm going to skip on a low energy day is contour. I don't even know how to use that properly. I like to play around with it, but on a low energy day, I'm not going to mess with that extra step, but I do like to use a bronzer. What I'm going to use today is the Milani Silky Matte 01 Bronzing Powder. This is a very neutral looking bronzer in my opinion. I'm going to just tap my brush. You can see the product there that's on the brush, and I'm just going to tap that off. And again, the other thing I'm going to do is swirl this in my hand to distribute the product. This helps not use too much or go too heavy all at once. And then I'm going to just tap this sort of where you're going to naturally get tan from the sun. And then just a light little swirl. And then what's left over on the brush, I'm going to apply to my forehead where the sun might hit me naturally. A little bit at the temple, just a tiny bit, and across the nose. A little bit on the chin, and I'm just going to go around the jawline just a tiny bit. There, so that's the bronzer. I'm not going to put this too far because we are going to use it again. Multi-purpose product. So the next thing we want to talk about are blushes. I'm just going to show you a few here. I've got this MAC one in Harmony, and it's a matte formula, and it's super soft. It's sheer and buildable and a very natural looking color on my skin tone. Super pretty, and it's very easy to build up and blend out. So that's a good option there. Blurring, nice for mature skin. Some other options, one that I wouldn't necessarily choose for a low energy day, it's the It Bye Bye Pores blush, and it's in the shade Sweet Cheeks, which is a warm peachy pink. It's very, very pretty and has some sparkle in it, but it doesn't translate like crazy sparkle on the skin, but it's very pigmented. And so I would also choose a blush on a low energy day that doesn't have a lot of pigment. Only because low and slow is kind of a good way to go with products on a low energy day, that you can build them up easily and not look overdone too quickly. It's a beautiful blush, but not for a low energy day. My next two options are, I've got another MAC blush, Warm Soul. It's a mineralized blush. And I have Milani Luminoso, a baked powder blush. And what I like about the two of these is that they're a 2-in-1. They have a beautiful shimmery glow. They're not glittery, but they can double as a highlight and save me a step, which today, that's what I'm going to choose. The Warm Soul is a very light color. Very pretty. And the Luminoso is sort of a peachy color. So those are very beautiful. Today I'm gonna go with the Luminoso, I think. We're just gonna tap it on the cheeks. I like to start with the blush sort of about here, and that's where kind of the most pigment is gonna land. And then back, and then I'll go to the apples of my cheeks when I have less product on the brush. So you want to build up the blush and not go too heavy at first, if you have the energy for that. I find I'm generally happier with that if I go light layers and build it up and get the look that I want, versus starting off too heavy and just being unhappy with my look. Because even if I have low energy, if I'm taking the time and energy to do my makeup, I want to be happy with it. All right, so how are we doing there? How's that looking? It's looking cute. I'm going to use the MAC Fix Plus again and get everything else to melt into the skin. So that's it for my complexion right now. That was my focal point. All of my energy has gone into that. My non-negotiable is my lip gloss, so I know I'm gonna put that on, but I'll do that at the end. So next we're gonna do a very quick brow, eye look, and lip look. Just a quick little check-in. Let me know in the comments below, what's your focal point or non-negotiables for a low energy makeup day? And if you're enjoying this video, give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more low energy makeup days. Brows are something I hardly ever do. So on a low energy day, like today, I would generally just skip it. But if brows are one of your things, I just want to kind of show a quick look. It's the Wow Brow Tinted Gel from e.l.f. And I don't know what color mine is in. Neutral brown it is. And so it's just like a fibrous eyebrow gel. I'm not skilled in brows at all. I'm trying to learn how to use an eyebrow pencil. Sometimes I've been using a clear eyebrow gel. I've been really liking this one. So I'll show you what that looks like. It doesn't fill it in completely like a brow pencil would, but for me, where brows aren't non-negotiable for me, and I rarely do my brows, it's good enough for me. There, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not using an eyeshadow primer. I'm far too tired for that. Oh, right. How quickly I forget. I am getting very tired. So we're going to do the eye look. We're going to revisit our bronzer and our blush to do a very simple eye look. I'm going to get some bronzer on there. I'm going to start sort of at the corner and apply most of the product there. And then as there's less on the brush, I'm going to move it through my crease. Using the bronzer and blush just gives your look a very cohesive, put together look with little effort and energy. And it's nice to have products that can do double duty. They're out already, so we don't even have to waste energy digging through, finding more products, making more decisions. It's just pretty easy. I'm gonna put the rest of it, just give a little wash over the lid. So just very soft look, not that noticeable. There, okay, so that's enough for the bronzer. Now I'm going to use the blush. So this is gonna give us a little bit of color and a little bit of glow. I'm gonna put that in the center, and that'll give a nice little bit of sparkle and glow. Basically just put it all over the mobile lid, except for there's the outer corner where I have a little bit more depth there from the bronzer. Now you could certainly choose just to use the bronzer as an eye look and not bother with the blush, but there. So how are we looking? I think we're looking pretty good. Now we're gonna finish off the eye look with a mascara. I'm going to recommend on a low energy day to use a tubing mascara. What I prefer about a tubing mascara is the end of day removal. I don't have to fight with it. Tubing mascara just comes off with warm water, no raccoon eyes. It's very easy to get off. There's generally no smudging at all during the day. I'm using the MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash, and I'm only going to put it on my upper eyelashes. This is just kind of a natural looking mascara. It's more lengthening, I think, than volumizing. I think I will put a little bit on the bottom. There, how are we doing? I think we're looking pretty decent. All right, now we're on to the last step, which is a lip look. This is my non-negotiable. I'm gonna go with a gloss. I've got the Makeup by Mario Super Shine Lip Gloss, and it's in the shade Bear, so a very neutral look. I really have no energy left now. That feels really good. It's a nice thick cushiony gloss, which I like. I'm going to opt for a setting spray today, the Makeup by Mario one. All right, and let's do maybe a little bit of cover of the eyes. As it's drying, we're just gonna take the sponge and press everything into the skin. Oh, I'm really happy with the glow I've got going on. That was what I was looking for with Complexion as my focus. I think we're done. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm pretty pleased. So now we'll take a look at this in natural light and see what we might tweak next time. Hi guys, so this is the look in natural light. It's a little bit of an overcast day today, but I think it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with how my complexion turned out. So it's a good routine. I think next time I might like a little bit more of a color on my lip. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see another low energy makeup look, maybe one with an eye focus or a lip focus. I'd love to do another one of these. Or if you'd even like to see what my makeup routine is on a good energy day. If you like this video, I have another low energy makeup day routine over here. I'll see you over there. Be Fibro Fabulous. Bye guys.